Into the business news now. While a tough strike season could be on the cards in the gold mining sector, Union AMCU has voiced concern about the sale of mines in the platinum sector. AMCU President Joseph Mathunjwa was scheduled to meet the CEO of Anglo Platinum, or Amplats, earlier today. Amplats, of course, announcing its intention to sell its Rustenburg mines. They were crippled by the record 5-month-long strike that was led by AMCU last year. AMCU displaced the National Union of Mine Workers, the NUM, to become the majority union on the platinum belt. In the gold mining sector, the NUM is still officially dominant, and AMCU is calling for changes in the way wages are negotiated. A 2-year agreement expires at the end of June, which could mean a strike. Well, I'm joined by the AMCU President, Joseph Mathunjwa. Now, thank you for joining us. Joseph, let's start with this meeting with the Amplats CEO, Chris Griffith. You said that did take place. What was discussed? How did it go?
I think that is an ongoing engagement. As you'll remember, that Amplats has announced that they want to sell some of their brownfields in Rustenburg. So that was kind of an update meeting. Hence, we as AMCO, we made it clear to them that we do have a vast interest in these assets in terms of the future employment and condition of employment of our members and the workers in general. Just
explain it, because these mines are being sold. So I guess the concern is the new owners won't have the economies of scale that Amplats does. They won't be a giant and may have to lay off workers, because Amplats is saying this isn't about job cuts, it's just a sale.
Yeah, I mean, that's a main concern, that we need to know who are those potential buyers, what is their track record, do they have a muscle that will carry the workers through. Hence, then we are more concerned about such movement.
Chris Griffith assured me last year when this was announced that it had nothing to do with the strike that was led by AMCU for a record length of time. Is he saying the same thing to you behind closed doors?
Yes, I think he still maintained the same, but I mean, one should stretch it a little bit further. You'll remember Mr. Kutifani, he made a commitment to the investors in terms of the returns that he promised the investors fraternity, only to find because of the price of the platinum didn't do very well. So therefore, I think some of those issues are the one that prompted them to sell some of their assets.
Well, the fact is these mines were hard hit by the strike. Now, from another perspective, people have blamed you and the union for forcing their hand, for saying that companies cannot make those returns that they need to give back to the workers. We all understand that quest for fairness. But what about the other argument that companies need to make those returns to invest back, particularly in this country, to create new mines, create new jobs, create growth that benefits all of us?
I think everyone should know that all those investment doesn't benefit the working class. There's nothing has changed from 1994 to date as I'm sitting with you in the studio. Workers are still paid using the very same apartheid structures, pay wage structures. So therefore, we cannot hide behind investment and job creation, of which the very same job creation doesn't change the lives of the majority of the people who are working in the mines.
What about the argument that for things to change, we do need some short-term pain? So if you look at mechanization, workers would earn more if they were skilled on those machines. The companies themselves would make more, bring up more, and have perhaps more money to do that investment. But we're talking about job losses in the short term. Some say that we absolutely need it, and the problem is upskilling those workers. That should be the fight.
I think what one should also realize is that mechanization is not a new phenomenon. At the workplace, there are mines that are mechanized, and you go and check their conditions of employment. There's not much difference. So they mustn't hide behind job losses in the expense of the workers. The companies shouldn't treat workers as a commodity at the end of the day. These are people who's got families, who've got social life that they should look after. So therefore, I think it's high time that we need that the workers should benefit from the collateral of this country.
I'm interested in how this engagement works when you go and see the CEO of Amplats. You've spoken about Marco Tifani, who is his boss, the head of Anglo American. He has said to SABC in the past that another 5-month-long strike would kill the mining industry in South Africa. What is your response to that? Do we just say, oh, that's posturing, even though mines can be sold, they can be closed down? And what is it like when you are in the room with these executives?
The point is, as AMCU, we don't go to the boardroom or to any venue for negotiations having in mind that we want to go on strike. We go to the boardroom and negotiate on behalf of our members, mandated by them to change their conditions of employment and their livelihood. So the issue that we go with predetermined position, that is not true. So the company, they should realize that from years, historical years of slavery to mine workers, they have to change. Until when should the mine worker go underground earning 5,600 as a basic salary? Whereas the CEOs and whoever in the top management are walloping millions and millions in the expense of the workers. How many workers have died in the gold mine from January to date? Has they been to their families and checked how those families are surviving? So those are the realities that we need to come into terms. We cannot just sugarcoat each and every process in the expense of the working class.
Mr. Mathunjwa, with the possible strike coming up in the gold mining sector, there's another question. How many miners have died in violence, in this tension between the NUM and AMCU, and a lot of criticism that mine bosses like yourself do not control those tensions, do not control the rivalry. There's a sense that we should question your motives sometimes, because is this about inter-union rivalry or really about the workers? So can you speak about that in your response to the NUM calling you a pathological liar today?
I think their response in terms of our press statement is because they heard us loud and clear our position. If we're not making sense, they wouldn't be responding to those issues. But coming to the issue of violence, we as AMCU, we are against any form of violence. But let's be honest to the public. At Platinum Mine, at Northern, our members cannot enter the hostel as I'm talking to you. NUM embarked on unprotected strike. There was a court interdict. The media was very quiet about it. Our members cannot enter the hostel, and no action corrective measures has been taken. At Beatrix, the management of Beatrix even approached us to say, congratulations, AMCU, we thank you because NUM entered the hostel with dangerous weapon. We plead with AMCU not to enter the hostel. But what happened last week? All our leaders at Beatrix were arrested. NUM members were not arrested. NUM is a signatory to this peace and stability framework, of which I wrote to the state president and say, NUM is a signatory to this.
You're not a signatory.
Yes, I'm not. But for those that are signatory, why are not complying?
Okay, Mr. Mathunjwa, I wish we could chat further, and hopefully we will chat before the gold mining strike, which of course is another source of contention, and we're waiting to hear what AMCU and the NUM are going to demand from gold miners following that protracted strike in the platinum sector last year. AMCU President Joseph Mathunjwa.